Hello there, guys. It's Harrison Productions, and today I'm gonna do a something different, and it is called the Discography because that's the only title I could come up with. In this series, we will look at artists and like bands and solo artists and all that who have released albums. It can either be studios, well, mainly studio albums we're going to look at, but some live and compilations that. So today we're going to look at a solo artist, and he happened to be associated with the Beatles. First thing comes to mind, no, it's not John Lennon, and no, it's not Paul McCartney. And no, not even Ringo Starr. Today we're going to look at what a lot of people consider the quiet Beatle. For those who don't know who I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about Mr. George Harrison. Yes, that George Harrison. Yeah, George Harrison. He's possibly my favourite member of the Beatles, either with or without the Beatles. Uh, I think he, along with Paul McCartney, are better as solo artists. I mean, no disrespect to him with the Beatles. I mean, he was good, but he only had 2 songs because Lennon and McCartney wouldn't allow him to have any fucking songs. And that's it. He just wasn't allowed a lot of songs. I mean, he was a good guitarist, but, and he was a very good vocalist, I think. Now, I know there's someone going to be out there going, oh, but he's not as good as John and Paul. Well, he's better than them. Yeah, I said it. He's better than John and Paul. I mean, no disrespect. I love Paul, but he's kind of overrated. I mean, hell, have you heard nearly all of his albums from the fucking 80s? They were pretty crap, to be honest. And John Lennon, well, I can't say much because I'm not a fan of his solo career. I prefer him in the Beatles. And Ringo Starr, let's save him for another time. But today we're going to look at George. Now, the albums I'm going to look at are his actual solo albums. So that means no Wonderwall music because that's not an album. That's technically a soundtrack album, not a studio album. I mean, it's alright, but what do you expect? It's a generic soundtrack that you get with any other movie soundtrack albums. And then you have Electric Sound, which is his second album, but I don't consider that an album too. Mainly because it's just him messing around with the Moog synthesizer. Well, the new one. I think it was like the third one, I believe. Which doesn't feel like an album. It feels more like an advert for it. I wouldn't be surprised. And I should note that the synthesizer... the synthesizer he used on the album was the same synthesizer he used on Abbey Road. Oh yeah, but you didn't know that. So yeah. So let's look at his actual first album, and it is, which a lot of people consider this to be one of his best albums and one of the best solo albums of the Beatles, and it is All Things Must Pass. Now this is the 2014 Apple Years edition, and it's pretty good. It does justice. My favorite album. I meant to say my favorite song on this is "Isn't It a Pity?" and what's the other one? Art of Dying, which has a really awesome guitar solo by Eric Clapton. Oh yeah, he appears on this. Actually, wait, is it Eric Clapton? I could be wrong. I'm not sure who plays the guitar on that, but, well, the solo, but fantastic. I love it. This is also the first album to have George Harrison use his famous slide guitar sound. Oh yeah, he was a slide guitarist after he left the Beatles, by the way. An excellent one, I should say. If I had to pick a top 10 list, he'd probably be number 1 for me for slide guitarists. Yeah. The weakest song on this album is possibly It's Johnny's Birthday. I mean, it's alright, but, nothing special. Yeah, it's a pretty good record. You got some interesting musicians here. You got, the drums are done by Ringo Starr, ex-member of the Beatles, and you also got Alan White, who you might have heard of from, well, he's from the Plastic Ono band, John Lennon's and Yoko Ono's band, but he's possibly best known for being the second drummer for Yes. well, the progressive rock group, yes. You also got keyboard work by Billy Preston, who worked on Let It Be, I believe. Uh, Klaus Verman plays bass on this, and yes, the Klaus Verman who did the album cover for Revolver. Yeah, he plays bass. I bet a lot of you didn't know that. Eric Clapton, Dave Mason, and this is interesting. You also got Badfinger. Yeah, you remember them. Badfinger, that Welsh pop group from the 70s. Yeah, you know, Pete Ham. Yeah, they appear on this album. I'm not sure which song. I think it's Wawa they appear on. I could be wrong. It's also notable this also features Ginger Baker and Phil Collins. Yeah, Phil Collins appears on this album. He's just not credited. I'm sure he appears on this album. I can't remember what track it is, but yeah. Now, this version, I should note, includes the 2001 reissue one. Now, basically, in 2001, George Harrison re-released it, but he re-recorded some of the songs. This is notable because there's two versions of My Sweet Lord from the original, and you got the 2001, which is interesting. And I believe the Fender Rhodes and has backing vocals by Danny Harrison. Yeah, George Harrison's son. He appears on this album. Well, the 2001 reissue. But yeah, overall, pretty good solo album, debut album for a ex-member of the Beatles. And I said it, debut album, not bloody Wonderwall. That's a soundtrack, so I don't consider that a proper album. Let me put that down. 1973, Living in the Material World. This is kind of like the follow-up to All Things Must Pass, but it's a really good one. Love this. And believe it or not, there's the inside. Did I show you this? I should show you. I'll just show you anyway. You know, pretty cool. That's the poster. You know, pretty cool. Again, this and the Living in the Material World is the 2014 Apple Year's release. If I can, sorry, I'm trying to get the bloody poster in here. Maybe shouldn't have put it out. Bugger, I can't get the fucking thing in. Oh, I don't want to damage it as well. There we go. But yeah, Living in the Material World. This was actually the first album of George Harrison's solo career I actually heard, and I loved it the first time. I have to look inside because that's where all the track listing are. My favourite songs are Try Some, Buy Some, and Sue Me, Sue You Blues. That's a pretty good one. Although I do love Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth. That's a good one. The weakest is probably The Day the World Gets Round. That's just not that interesting. But overall, very good album. Yeah. This is a good one. Oh god, this album. Dark Horse from 1974. This is a definite skip. If you're a George Harrison beginner, avoid this album. Don't come to here. Come to it maybe later. It's just not a very good record. The only good song is Dark Horse. That's all I can think of. The rest is pretty much a load of rubbish. So skip that one. 1975, Extra Texture with this awesome cover. I love this actually. My nose is itching. Damn, I'm itching today. I don't know why. It's odd. Again, some people hate this album, but I'm actually one of the few who actually like this album. I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know, what do you call it? Whining? Is that what you call it? It's a whining album, basically. I guess high-pitched vocals. Yeah, it's pretty good. I actually think it's good. I mean, yeah, some songs don't work, but some do. Actually, for some reason, I've read that people hate this album, but they like the song You, which is a whining song. I don't know how could they like that. I've got no bloody clue, but oh well. Sorry, something wrong. My mic's going a bit weird. That's why I had to check that. My favourite tracks is This Guitar Can't Keep from crying. And my least favorite is "Oh Baby, You Know That I Love You." It's just not that good. Alright, and that was it. That was his Apple years. Now we get to Dark Horse, because he moved to Dark Horse. And the first album is... Fuck, I have to look. 33 and a Third. This is like... his fifth album? Yeah, fifth album. Now, this is mostly the era people, a lot of George Harrison fans don't talk about, but this is possibly one of my favourites. I love this album. I think it's right up there with All Things Must Pass. It's right up there with All Things Must Pass and Living in the Material World. It's kind of hard which one's the best, because I love this and I love All Things Must Pass. My favourite song sorry about that. My favourite song is what was it? Beautiful Girl. Love that track. And I also love Crackerbox Palace. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? The music video, you should watch the music video. It's really good. It actually features the Pythons, actually. Yeah, Monty Python. The members, they actually appear in it. And it's pretty funny, actually. My least favourite is Dear One. That's just not that good. Overall, pretty good album. I'd say if you're going into the Dark Horse years, get this one. It's really good. 1978, George Harrison, his self-titled album. Now, at first, I wasn't a fan of this album. Sorry, I wasn't a fan of this album when I first heard it, but after giving it another listen, I really love it. It's a really good album. My favourite is obviously Blow Away and Faster. They're really good tracks. Least favourite is possibly Here Comes the Moon, which is obviously it's basically Here Comes the Sun, but it's just not as interesting as Here Comes the Song. The Sun. Which I'm also not a fan of that one. I just get sick and tired of it. Yes, I know everyone loves that song, but I can't stand that bloody song. I've heard it too much. Yeah, pretty good. It's a good album. That's all I gotta say. Oh god, here we go. We get to the worst ones. Somewhere in England. This was released in 1981. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say. This album came out in 1978. Got to say that. This album came out in 1981. Now, the cover you see here is different. This is not the original one. This was the intended version. This is the original. Yeah, it looked kind of boring. This was supposed to be it, but I don't know, some fuck up at Warner Bros. Didn't like the original version, so they told them to mess around and change it. Which is a bit fucking stupid, because there's some tracks, some of the additional tracks I really like. And actually, one of them actually appears in 33 and a Third, and it is Tears of the World. Now, I don't know why they put it on this album. It should technically be on this album. But I don't know. They just put it on here. And I really like Tears of the World. That's a really good one. It's just a bad record. The best songs are All Those Years Ago, the John Lennon tribute song, and Teardrops. That's it. That's the only two. The rest is pretty awful. Even I got to admit, for the George Harrison fan. Yeah, avoid this album. Although I do like this album cover. It's really cool. Pretty much sucks how they had to change it for that boring one. Here we go, another worst one. We got Gone to Roppo. This was 1982. It's just not that good. I mean, some tracks are okay, but he does kind of like this deep voice. I don't know why, but I don't know. He's George Harrison. The best songs on this are That's the Way It Goes, and I can't remember the song. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's the one that appears in the movie Time Bandits. Was it Dream Away? I could be wrong. I'm sure it's Dream Away. I think that was in Time Bandits. Was it? I don't know. Yeah, this album's pretty forgettable. I know some people like this, but I think this is actually the most forgettable album of his solo career. So yeah, avoid this one too. And then George Harrison took a brief break from the music business until 1987 when he came back with Cloud 9 with this cheesy album cover. This is one of my least favourite album covers, but if I can get the where is it? I like this picture. Now that should have been the album cover, in my opinion. A very good record. It's produced by Jeff Lynne of Yellow or the Electric Lights Orchestra, which he does a very good job. My favourite tracks on this album is When We Was Fab, a brilliant tribute song to the Beatles. And the music video is also really good. It's George Harrison, and it also has Ringo Starr in it. Yeah, but Paul McCartney doesn't appear in it because he was too busy fucking around with his Bloody Flowers in the Dirt album. Well, I'm not kidding. He was seriously fucking around with that album. My weakest album is the weakest song on this album is "Got My Mind Set on You." Yes, I know everyone loves that song, but I'm not a fan of it. I've just never been. I also forgot to mention that another favorite of mine is Devil's Radio, and That's What It Takes. They're just really good songs. So yeah, this is more of his album of the 80s, but yeah, it's kind of outdated, but in a good way, you know? If he hadn't have died, I bet he would have made more fantastic albums if he hadn't been taken away from us too soon. Then he took another break until he was diagnosed with cancer. Email, yeah. So he recorded this album in 2001 before his death, and this was released after his death. And it's Brainwashed from 2002. It's good, but not brilliant. I mean, it's good because, you know, it's George Harrison's last record, but still not brilliant. Email again. Bloody. Sorry about that. Anyway, Brainwashed. Like I said, not a brilliant record, but not the worst. This album was produced by Jeff Lynne and Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son. And I think this was the first album he actually produced, which, email, fucking hell, I've got so many bloody emails. Right, let me put that down. Sorry about that. We're going to continue. Anyway, so, my favourite tracks on this album are Marwa Blues, which features one of the best slide guitar works. It's hard to describe, but it's happy but also sad. It's just a really beautiful song. I think it's one of George Harrison's best slide guitar work. Literally, go hear it and tell me what you think in the comments. And I also love Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, you know that one. If you don't, then go listen to it. It's a very nice, catchy song with ukuleles, which I believe is George Harrison's favourite album. Not favourite album. Favourite instrument, sorry. Yeah, it's a really nice track, and I really wish they ended with that one, because it just seems like a fitting ending. But, oh well. My least favourite songs on the albums are Brainwashed. I know it's the last song, but it's just not that good. And there's Rockin' Chair in Hawaii. It's just not that good. Again, it just feels forced, while Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, it doesn't feel forced. But this song just feels forced. But that's it for George Harrison albums, except there are live albums. There's the Concert for Bangladesh, which was released in 1971. You can still get the CD version, although I recommend you watch the film. The film's very good. Just a fantastic film. Then you got Live in Japan, again, which I believe was released in 1992. Again, a good album, but you're better off watching the concert film. I'm not a fan of live album, but I don't mind listening to some. And then you got compilation albums. You know, you got the best of George Harrison from 1976. Never heard it, and you know, and don't be ashamed to buy the compilations because you know if you're getting into George Harrison or starting with his solo career, listen to the compilation albums first. There's the Dark Horse Years, the best of from 1989, I believe. Never heard that one too. The only one I've heard is Let It Roll from 2009, which is pretty good. And you got Early Takes, which is a compilation which I believe was for the movie Living in the Material World, directed by Martin Scorsese. You know, it's all right, but the problem is the takes, like early takes, they're not like the original, which is, I guess it's kind of cool, but personally, I would have saved that for like maybe a bonus track for the albums. I don't know. It just makes more sense. And there are the box sets. First, there was the Dark Horse box set released in 2004, which I believe you can still get here and there. You know, I believe you can still get on Amazon and that. There's also the collaboration album, the collaboration box set, sorry, which he did collaborations with Ravi Shankar, the sitarist of Indian music. I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry. Yeah, it's very late. I haven't slept. Well, I mean, I have slept, but I was woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Email again. Sorry about that. And of course, there's the Apple Years box set. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoy this. Please like, subscribe, check out my Facebook, my Twitter, etc. And I'll see you next time for the next discography review. Bye.